There are a number of ways to calculate the expected value that a project might generate for us. You could look at return on investment, or ROI, net present value, or NPV, internal rate of return, or IRR, and compliance. ROI compares the values a project realized to the value of the investment put into it. When the ROI is positive, then the project is profitable. NPV is a capital budgeting technique. A project with a positive NPV is also profitable. IRR is defined as the interest rate that makes the net present value zero. The higher the IRR, the more profitable and thus more desirable. And compliance determines how we are conforming to rules, such as industry specifications, standards, and policies. This also includes regulatory compliance, which relates to adherence to any relevant laws. Relative prioritization is one way of prioritizing based on user requirements. It involves user-related considerations, such as the positive benefit of a feature and the negative impact of its absence. Minimum viable product, or MVP, is another value-based concept. MVP considers which features or deliverables are sufficient to satisfy early adopters and that demonstrate enough future benefit. It provides a feedback loop to guide future development. Another way to look at prioritization is from a customer's perspective. So we might try and look at how much value a customer will perceive, or how much value we expect to generate for a customer through a project. We want to always ensure that we're delivering the highest value to customers as early as possible. One way to prioritize in terms of the customer's perspective is the 100-point method, which assigns every customer 100 points that they can then distribute amongst the user stories or the requirements for a project. So let's say we give one of our stakeholders 100 points and we say, assign these to the user stories according to which ones are most important to you. So they may give one of the user stories, for example, 50 points, and then distribute the rest of their 50 points amongst 5 other user stories or 2 other user stories. This gives us a strong indication that the user story that was given 50 points is really the highest critical or most important user story for that stakeholder. Another customer value-based prioritization method is called the Kano analysis. The Kano analysis compares the degree of implementation of user stories or requirements against the degree of customer satisfaction generated by developing or implementing those user stories. The third method for customer-valued prioritization is multi-voting. With multi-voting, we take a number of ideas that have come up, sometimes as a process of brainstorming, and then each person is allowed to vote on the top 1/3 of all of those ideas. This will help us to see which third of the ideas are starting to appear as the most important for a majority of our stakeholders. And lastly, the Carver technique categorizes user stories or requirements based on a number of criteria which are criticality, accessibility, return, vulnerability, effect, and recognizability. Once we start to put user stories into those categories, we can start to see certain trends or start to prioritize based on those categories. In summary, there are many value-based prioritization methods, including ROI, NPV, IRR, compliance, relative prioritization, and MVP. Customer-valued prioritization methods can be especially useful in Agile projects. The methods that focus on customer value are the 100-point method, Kano analysis, multi-voting, and the Carver technique.